Have you ever found yourself running into a commercial for a new show or movie? The first one ever showcasing a new story. Once you watched it, you got this feeling that it was going to be something great, something you needed to see. After The Last Airbender was just the second thing that did that for me, after Spirited Away. But Avatar was something that sparked me into fandom and got me into anime without being anime itself. So I found myself being a fan of both the anime I liked as a child that turned out to be anime, and, well, some new ones. A nice moment it gave me was on a day the finale aired. I immediately planned to watch it at a later time since the TV provider we had offered 2 Nickelodeon channels. But my parents knew that I loved the show, and decided to have dinner early just so I can watch it live. It was nice. Anyway, after the show ended, I had other stuff to watch until I learned about Legend of Korra, and I gave it a watch. And book 1 was awesome. And then I looked forward to more, and it just got more disappointing afterwards, to the point where even though I could say it had good animation and some fun moments, I couldn't defend the finale since in some ways it felt like a betrayal to me. But the creators were moving on to some new projects, and they looked interesting. And since I was treating every Legend of Korra comic with the exception to the free comic book day giveaways, same way someone would treat Spider-Man comics after one more day, but I still had a way of getting my money. And I had a way of knowing whether or not they were total failures as storytellers. I mean, other than the stuff relating to the first show, there isn't really anything Avatar related I'm willing to sink my teeth into until a new shut. Okay, I understand you two are disappointed with Netflix going in a Dragon Ball Evolution direction with their live-action adaptation, but one of you hasn't released that graphic novel yet, and the other has a book trilogy to finish. Are you two gonna take care of those individual projects, you? Yeah, I just can't let this be a random Tumblr post. But this isn't just a complete breakdown of everything that went wrong with Korra in my point of view. I still like the show, and it's still one of my favorite shows. But when you like a show and have invested some time and money into it, you still have the right to criticize it. And I might as well give off what I expect from a new series, even though it's also how it could disappoint me and other fans who have shared my disappointment with something that happened in the previous shows. So expect some critique of the original Avatar as well. But wait, there's something else live action related to the Avatar franchise. Something so horrible other YouTubers have picked it apart, and we never get tired of picking it apart because it's so bad and so disappointing, and there are some things other people have not really critiqued, and that also kind of bug me. I might as well get my 2 cents on it in a quick way as possible. So doesn't that trailer for Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings look like what we wanted from an Avatar series? You know, with the budget and the casting and the effects. Blue. So anyway, for this video, I'll be talking about my hopes for the new Avatar series that they're making with some criticisms of the previous series, just to make my point. But first, I'm not going to stress this out enough, but the upcoming animated movie they're making should really be 2D anime. I mean, I would be fine with it being 3D animated as long as it was more stylized, like, say, Into the Spider-Verse. And I know 3D animated films are faster and easier to make, but that shouldn't be an excuse to stop making 2D animated movies. Besides, we're already used to seeing the series at its best in 2D animation, and the original anime studio, Studio Mare, has done some movies, so hey, make it 2D animated and I might order my ticket in advance. Streaming services are another story. So if you know anything about the Avatar fandom, shipping is a big deal, and I think it'd be really nice for us to have a canon steamship in the show, as in I would like to see a relationship between a firebender and a waterbender come together in a good romance and be an engaged ship. Yeah, I think Sutara is a better relationship, while also still respecting Kang being canon for the sake of the symbolism of air and water repairing what was destroyed by fire. Even though I am given reasons to see that Aang is not the best romantic partner for Katara. Also, I am disappointed in how Korra was handled in Legend of Korra because they could totally work. Frank dismissed the fact that their relationship could have been the symbolism of opposite forces and harmonic balance with each other while growing to be good people, and just decided to lessen the impact of LGBT representation that was the reveal about Garnet in Steven Universe. Man, they just can't seem to write any good relationships unless they involve comic relief characters. Besides, if they're going to showcase that two people of the same gender can be together in a romantic relationship, then shouldn't they let waterbenders get together with firebenders in that sort of way? Especially if they're main characters, or just characters who play some big role in the plot and have names that fans can remember? Eh? Come on. Let's make it happen. I just can't stress this enough, but every member of the main group should have character development. Now, I can name some great character development for the original gang. Aang learns to be a proper avatar while still holding on to the beliefs of his culture. Katara goes through the hero's journey, which involves her becoming a master bender with confidence in herself. Girl, you're amazing. Sokka learns to be a leader and not a sexist jerk. Zuko has the redemption arc that is so well done. Mwah! Many creators try to recreate it, but fail badly. Suki gets inspired and decides to leave her island to better help people hurt by the 100-Year War. And even earns her spot on Team Avatar. You know, at least other than being Sokka's love interest. But she's more than that. Toph, well, I think she learns to be more of a team player and friend, while also proving to be one of the most powerful benders in history. Oh wait, someone made a video about this. Apparently, according to fellow Avatar fan Hello Future Me, she learns that it's okay to ask for help. I'll have to link that video in the description. I think that guy's a good guy. As for the crew, well, I would have been more okay with Korra's character development if they didn't have the whole suffering made me a better person at the end. And this is especially insulting when Zuko's character development involved calling out that BS. And since they had old Katara saying that she, like Aang, should learn from their suffering, it should be noted that doing your duty and getting PTSD because some villains were torturing you is not the same as running away from living up to a destiny that you didn't feel ready to take on and coming back home to see that everyone you love is dead. Besides, I really wanted her character arc to go be not only being the Avatar, but knowing who she is without that destiny. And knowing that it still gives her a reason to live in this modern world of advancing technology, while still being good and a good person and all that. Oh, and Mako, who was named after the late actor who played Iroh in the first series, and just has this backstory that is a realistic depiction of someone who grew up in poverty. Probably could have had better character growth if the creators didn't let pointless fandom hate influence them to not go through that potential character growth. And also have him spend most of his time in book 4 with a character who I personally find more annoying and pointless than Jar Jar Binks, and
This is coming from someone who didn't find Jar Jar Binks too annoying.
Bullied seems to have a decent character arc of learning to grow up and be independent enough to not rely on his big brother too much, and also be a good partner for Opal. And man, that's really lacking character development, but
At least it was decent character development.
And Asami. Look, just because you make a beautiful female character who can fight and you liked her too much to not have her walk the villainous path you originally intended for her does not give you a free pass to not give her proper character development. And by proper character development, I mean when you start a character arc for the character, make them see it through to the end, and not have that character arc get dropped for them to hook up with someone they are literally better off being just friends with. And not do it twice, with a season of them being the equivalent to a nameless group of henchmen in between. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Asami. And that's kind of disappointing since I at least thought she was decent in book 1, but afterwards, she's just started feeling pointless to me. So, unless any of the main characters fall into certain zones of not needing any noteworthy character development that don't involve the romantic subplots, Break might not be trying to make a good story or just being greedy, and really should have finished those books they were working on before deciding to give us a new series. So I do try to be a good ally for the LGBT community, and I am supporting any representation they get. With that said, if they do any queer representation in the next series, it really shouldn't just be two characters of the same gender who are really good friends go on a trip together at the end of the show just because one of them is grieving for a dead parent. On a side note, hooking up because one of you is grieving for someone who was close to you is not a good start for a healthy long-term relationship in my eyes, even if both people in the relationship are good friends at first. Oh, and then after the airing of the finale, the creators say that it was always planned, even though they never build it up aside from showing that the two characters are really good friends, and probably would have gotten a similar, if not better, impact of the representation was this one minor character refusing a marriage proposal from her jerky box because they were homosexual, and the jerky box just supports it and decides to be their wingman. Yeah, I don't really consider Korrasami a landmark in LGBT representation in an anime show broadcast in the USA. I just think it softened the impact of Steven Universe, which did it better. And they did it better by building up and hinting that same-sex relationships were possible in the show. And when they did that reveal of Garnet being a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire, two gems who are presumed ladies in a loving romantic relationship, it was awesome. It was beautiful. And it came with a good song. And our only hint to it was the fact that Garnet had two gems instead of one like Pearl and Amethyst, or gems that they meet along the way. Heck, the Dragon Prince had good LGBT representation. It wasn't big, but it was good, and you should really watch it for yourself if you haven't already. So, I'm going to take any attempt Bright makes at queer representation in the next series with a grain of salt, but they better not mess up disabled representation, which they were good at for the most part, especially when Aaron Ahaz was involved. Assuming that the next potential show will take place in the future, as in after Legend of Korra, they better not ruin any of the characters from the previous shows. Now, since I mentioned that I did not like the development of most of the characters in Legend of Korra, there's a chance that Bright might look back on their mistakes and have these characters get some off-screen character development that we really would have liked to see in the actual show they were main characters of. But that's just the best we could hope for, since they already gave us the worst we could expect.
Not mentioning anything Suki did after the series and not giving her or Katara any statues. Not mentioning anything about Sokka's post-Avatar life other than he became a councilman, was chief of the Southern Water Tribe for some time, and then maybe died while fighting the Red Lotus people who were trying to kidnap Korra. Toph and Katara could have done more in the conflicts they were in some walking distance from, but old people aren't allowed to do anything awesome anymore. Zuko was alright, but dang, I wish there was an arc that took place in the Fire Nation, and I could think of a way that it could work without ruining Zuko or Zumi's accomplishments as Fire Lords or even as people. Also, Aang was not the best dad to his non-airbender kids. If only he knew his reincarnation was gonna do something to overturn random non-benders, including his son Boomy, into airbenders. But he at least should have spent some time with Kaya since they're at least both waterbenders, but either way, sequels that are like next-gen sequels, they can be problematic, and a few are so done well, so let's just hope for the best. Naturally, with a new series, they will expand on the capabilities of bending. For example, I would like to see a firebending technique that's also a healing move, and not just checking on someone's spiritual health. But they should still try to make good non-bender characters, especially as you notice my dislike of Asami as a running gag here. The girl may be a damsel in distress who can save herself and take out bad guys, but she's not an interesting enough character to be a main character, which just makes me wish they went with the villainous path for her so she could be a new Zuko. And notice that the way she got to be portrayed in the show, well, let's just say I've seen other characters like that were more interesting in her and still got proper character development. Let's take Waisni from Ruby as an example here. Like Asami, she was a pretty rich girl with a terrible father and had enough fighting skills to not be a totally useless character. But unlike her, other than the fact that everyone in Ruby had some sort of magic power, she started out being an unlikable, spoiled rich girl for me. But hey, at least she wasn't a love rival or something. But then she started showing flaws, began learning things, and even tried to be a better person for the sake of her teammates who basically became family to her. Heck, I started feeling for her in Volume 4 when she was separated from her team in the same house as her terrible father and learning how bad he is through how her siblings turned out and eventually how her mother coped with it all. And if it weren't for her character trailer before the series premiered, we wouldn't even acknowledge her as a main character. And also, not to mention this, having a main character that's hated at the beginning, but developing them to their best potential anyway, so the audience grows to care about them. She's not just Asami done right. She's what they should have done with Mako. My poor boy Mako. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean there weren't any interesting non-bender characters in Legend of Korra. I can at least name a few that come to the top of my head that did play some role in the plot. Okay, first, there was Varric, who was a jerky boss, Tony Stark done poorly, and a decent minor antagonist for Book 2, but then afterwards, he just ate up too much of the show's running time and really should have gotten his own spin-off comic or something, so there could be focus on giving the main characters proper development. Because, they needed it. Then there was Julie, who really should have been a lesbian and refused the marriage proposal from her jerky boss, but at least she got more character development than Asami. Oh, and then there was Boomy. Then Boomy got airbending powers. This is a shame since the first series gave us great and interesting non-bender characters like Sokka, Suki and the Kyoshi Warriors, Ty Lee, Mai, Jet. Heck, Jet's freedom fighters were all non-benders. Or, well, at least the ones that had names. Heck, the Dragon Prince has characters who either don't have or even get magical powers, including a deaf general. You should really watch Dragon Prince. So, please, Break, if you write any non-bender characters in the future of the Avatar series, don't just make them pretty and take out nameless henchmen. Make them interesting. Have them fight characters with names, even if they end up losing the fight, because those characters are still memorable and we like them. So I believe my conclusion for all this is that I'm basically telling Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko to not repeat the same mistakes I'm talking about in this video. So maybe to help fix this problem, they should hire new writers for the show. I mean, it would be hard to get Dave Filoni, a showrunner from the first season of Avatar, to leave the executive producer position at Lucasfilms to work on anything related to the series since he's done a good job with the Star Wars expanded universe. And I can't ask Aaron has to help make the show great since he's the reason why Toph was a girl and not a guy, but he's just doing a great job with the Dragon Prince, which I want to see that series get its full story, and I just can't stress enough that you should really give that show a watch. Again. So, anyway, Bright will have good ideas and interesting concepts for the new series, but they'll need brilliant writers to not only execute the ideas right, but also to note when things seem like a wasted effort. I mean, no one ever went back to the Great Divine, right? So those are my hopes for the next Avatar series. No matter what the series is about, whether it be a new Avatar or just a group with no chosen hero that's akin to Guardians of the Galaxy or Six of Crows, I'll give it a chance and watch it, but they better not be subverting my expectations because I expect it to be good. Oh my god, I can't believe this took so long that I actually got to see Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings in theaters. I can confirm that it is what I wanted, and I can't say I'm the favorite thing, but I plan on doing more of these videos, so feel free to like and subscribe and support me on Patreon if you can. So, bye bye.